Hello, my name is Sydney Thayer, and I work as a pollution prevention specialist at the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. And I am very excited to be announcing a cool opportunity for Virginia college students through DEQ's new student design competition for a food waste consumer education campaign. Before I get into the logistics of the campaign, I want to contextualize food waste as an environmental problem and something that DEQ is interested in. Food waste uh, takes up about 25% of landfills, and we know that about 30 to 40% of the food supply is wasted. All of this waste represents a huge environmental problem, both through its upstream emissions and its downstream emissions, which I will talk about in a second. We know that the food system is enormously complex and uses lots of resources to support it. And so when we think about wasting food, we're not only wasting the food and sending it to a landfill at the end of its life, but we're also wasting all of the resources that went into producing this food. This graphic shows just some of the resources that you might be wasting when you throw away a piece of food. So if we think about the energy use, the transportation, the fertilizers and pesticides that went into growing a piece of food and bringing it to your table, there are a whole lot of emissions associated with producing a piece of food, and then even more emissions associated with wasting that food. So when food ends up in the landfill, not only does it waste all of those upstream emissions, but we also know that once food is in a landfill, it cannot properly decompose and it releases methane emissions. I mentioned earlier that food waste accounts for 24% or about a quarter of landfilled material. And we know, even on top of that, that about 58% of methane emissions from landfills are from the food waste that is housed in them. Methane is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide. And so when we think about that in terms of contributors to climate pollution, methane is a huge contributor to the climate pollution problem and something that DEQ is very interested in combating. This other graphic just contextualizes the food waste issue a little bit more in terms of how many meals we're losing each year, 120 billion meals per year. That is the equivalent of if everyone in the United States took 7 showers a day, or if 54 million cars were driven each year. The emissions from food waste are significant, and the amount of food waste that is being produced is a huge problem and something DEQ wants to combat. This is just another example of the environmental impacts of food waste. It is equivalent to the agricultural land of California and New York. So again, it's a huge proportion of the crops that we are producing end up being wasted. And we know that this waste is occurring all across the supply chain. That being said, if you look at this graph, we know that most of the food waste that is happening is occurring on the consumer side of things. So lots of food waste is happening in individual homes or at restaurants and retail locations where consumers are directly interacting with that waste. And so as DEQ is thinking about ways to combat food waste, we're really interested in how we can help consumers waste less food. On the same side of that coin, we know that also food waste has a significant cost to consumers. And so food waste has social consequences, environmental consequences, and real economic consequences for all of us. The average person will waste about $728 per year on the food that they throw away. For a family of 4, that is almost $3,000 a year that you are throwing in the trash as you are wasting food. And that is about 11% of Americans' food expenditures, both within and outside of the home. These estimates from the EPA kind of help put another lens on why wasting food is so bad for individuals and bad for the environment. So DEQ has been interested in this issue for quite some time. The Office of Pollution Prevention, which is where I work, was previously engaged in food waste through some previous executive orders that we worked with. But really, we have a renewed focus on the food waste issue thanks to almost $100 million grant that came from EPA a climate pollution reduction grant that was focused on methane reduction projects in Virginia. And so as a part of this much larger grant, just under $10 million were dedicated to food rescue and composting in Virginia. And so as my team was looking to support food waste reduction, we developed a program that was centered around these three goals. First, we wanted to reduce emissions associated with landfilled organic waste. So we wanted to reduce the methane emissions that are created from food waste in the landfill. We wanted to support education on food waste prevention, and we wanted to provide increased opportunities for food rescue, food waste prevention, and composting in Virginia. One of the ways we are doing that is through DEQ's Food Rescue and Composting Subaward Program. This program is a competitive process that has recently awarded $8 million to 12 subrecipients. Those projects will fund food waste prevention, food rescue, and composting on college and university campuses. They will be implemented starting in June 2026, and we are excited to make an official announcement about which projects were funded soon. All of those projects followed the EPA's model of the wasted food scale, which you can see on this screen. So composting is a great solution to divert food waste from the landfill, but really we would like to be preventing food waste up front. And so we want food to be used for its highest value, which is feeding people. And so as DEQ is looking to expand our efforts around food waste, we're really interested in how we can help people prevent wasted food in the first place, in addition to diverting it to feed people or diverting it to composting. The subaward program that I mentioned earlier is doing this in lots of ways. We funded a wide variety of different projects, which you can see on this screen. I won't read all of these to you, but I will mention a few of my favorites. All of these projects are based at Virginia colleges and universities who are working on providing further access to composting for their community through community drop-off locations. They are working on food waste prevention within hospital systems and diverting food waste there. We know that hospital systems create a huge amount of waste, and so we're really excited for that project. Other projects are supporting regional composting businesses, creating dedicated food recovery hubs, using food waste tracking technology in dining halls, etc. There are tons and tons of great projects that are happening all around Virginia, but these projects are primarily concentrated at colleges and universities. But we know our college and university partners are really interested in expanding their efforts into the surrounding community. And so DEQ is supporting that expansion primarily through our commitment to launching a statewide consumer education campaign on food waste prevention. DEQ is excited to partner with colleges and universities on this effort. And so a large part of our efforts will be focused on college and university students. And so we are looking for a college and university student to help us design our campaign. I will go into the logistics of the competition and how you can apply in just a second. But we think that this is a really exciting opportunity for Virginia college students to showcase their design and artwork in a consumer education campaign that will be distributed all around the state. The applications and submissions are due on June 15th to veep@deq.virginia.gov, and the application is available on that website. But to get us started, I will go over the components of the application, and people can feel free to reach out to me with any questions, which I'll include my email at the end of this presentation. But the application starts off with some introduction information, which is a lot of what I've already shared in this call, or this video recording, I should say. So we want everyone submitting artwork and designs to this competition to really understand the food waste issue and understand why DEQ is interested in it. And so this information just has some more context about food waste as a problem. When you're actually applying to the campaign, the one mandatory component is that all submissions should include a primary logo and a slogan for our food waste prevention consumer education campaign. In addition to that, you can also optionally include posters, social media graphics, a brand kit that has color codes and textiles, etc. You are welcome to submit more materials, but at the minimum, DEQ is expecting that all submissions will have a primary logo and slogan. As you submit that artwork, you are encouraged to use zipped files whatever you need to do to get that artwork to us, and we will confirm that we received the artwork. But in the body of your email submission, you should include your name, your email address, the college or university where you are currently enrolled, and then a few sentences about why you are interested in applying to this campaign. In terms of what we're looking for from a campaign, we want this campaign to be effective and we want it to help consumers in Virginia prevent food waste. And so we know from other research that consumer education campaigns are most effective when they use positive messaging and they encourage behavior change. The application has lots of examples of what this might look like, and I'll go over some of those examples at the end of this call. But that is the primary way that we are hoping to change consumer behavior is through positive messaging and tips and tricks, behavior change mechanisms that can help people really effectively prevent food waste in their own homes. In terms of eligibility and submissions for the competition, you must be at least 18 years of age to apply, and you should be a currently enrolled student at a Virginia college or university. All of the designs and artwork that are submitted must be original. DEQ will not accept anything that has copyrighted logos or slogans in it, and we also will not accept any designs that were created using artificial intelligence software. We have a preference for designs that were created using Adobe products. And if you are the selected design and winner of the competition, we will expect you to share a raw Adobe file with our team so that our team can work to build your design and slogan into a broader consumer education campaign that will be distributed all across the state. Submissions are due on June 15th at 11:59 p.m. to the email listed here and the email that I mentioned earlier. As I said, you are encouraged to use zip files to get us all of your submission materials. And if you have any problems submitting materials to us, you can reach out directly to me. My email is right there on the screen, sydney.e.thayer@deq.virginia.gov. And initial submissions should be provided in a PDF, a JPEG, or a PNG file, whatever works best for you all. And then as necessary, you will be asked to share raw Adobe files if you were the selected winner again. But first submissions can be in any of those more basic file formats so that our review committee can look at your materials easily. This is the scoring rubric that will be used by our committee. I'll go over each of the scoring criteria. All of them are weighted equally. First, we are looking for original designs that creatively present the issue of food waste prevention and give people tips on how to present their food waste. Additional points will be given to any designs that have a special connection to Virginia. That can look however you would like it to look. If you want to pull in ideas of like produce that is popular in Virginia, or make other Virginia connections, we would be excited to see a campaign that had a Virginia connection. Functionality is another thing we're looking for. We need a logo and a slogan that can be easily transferred between lots of sizes and formats. So that's something to consider as you are developing your campaign. This is going to be widely distributed and hopefully used by lots of people in Virginia. And so we want that to be a really functional logo that lots of people can use. We also care a lot about effective messaging. As I said, we want positive messaging and behavior change to be the cornerstone of this campaign. We know that that is the most effective way to design a good consumer education campaign. So that is what we will be looking for in terms of messaging and design of the campaign. We also would like the design to be relatable, so largely appealing and appropriate for a wide variety of audiences. The campaign can be catered towards Virginia college students because that is where our subaward program is focused, but it should not be too heavily catered toward that group as we're planning to distribute it widely across Virginia, and it should be widely applicable to all audiences. The last component of our rubric is the visual appeal. We would like a visually appealing and accessible logo that we can share with lots of people and is appropriate for lots of different formats. The selected winner of this competition will have their design as the cornerstone and the center of our consumer education campaign. Selected artists will have a variety of different options of how they would like their work highlighted, and we would encourage you to use that in your future professional portfolio if you were the selected artist or even if you were not. The DEQ team will work with you in terms of how you would like your work highlighted, and that could include a press release, a feature in DEQ's newsletter, or promotion on DEQ's website and social media. Before we do any of that promotion, we will work with you in terms of how you would like your proper artist attributes assigned, and we will highlight your work as you wish. Before you go into designing a campaign, we encourage you to check out the wide variety of resources that DEQ has created around food waste prevention. This wasted food story map gives a little bit more information about food waste as an environmental problem and why DEQ is interested in it. So we encourage you to check out that resource. And then we also encourage you to just check out broadly our website on preventing food waste. There's lots of information on there about the types of things that we have been working on here at DEQ, and it could be helpful as you think about what we might be looking for in a consumer education campaign. We are really excited to see what you come up with. These are just a few examples of what other localities and states and nonprofits have thought of when they are designing a consumer education campaign focused on food waste. There are lots of great ideas online, and we encourage you to draw from any of these as examples or inspiration when you're designing your campaign. And we are really excited to see what you all come up with. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is right there on the screen. And as a reminder, all submissions are due on June 15th. Thank you so much and good luck.